Arts District producer Dan Garrison visited the Colorado Music Festival, a dream destination for Gypsy jazz campers.
Paris, France, and Crested Butte, Colorado may be worlds away from each other when it comes to musical traditions and innovations. But for 1 week during the summertime, students, performers, and audiences at the Crested Butte Music Festival can count on being surrounded by the dazzling yet dreamy sounds of the globally popular hot club jazz genre.
I think there's really something special about this location and their embrace of this style of music.
People from all over the world come here. In the past couple of years, we've had students come from England, from Italy.
It's a very unique style of music, and there's not that many opportunities out there to be able to study it with some of the masters of this style.
So look at my fingering one time. I'm doing a Django style. And it ends up being a D7 with a flat 9.
And the best of these masters are equally pleased to play and teach the fleet-fingered techniques of the Gypsy guitarist nicknamed Django.
You see how that fits?
Django Reinhardt was really an innovator of guitar. He was really pushing the boundaries of what the guitar could do. He at times sounded like a full big band, could sound like Louis Armstrong, could emulate Louis Armstrong's trumpet playing on the guitar.
Django's big-time skills are even more remarkable because his fretting hand had been damaged in a fire, but he overcame the injury and invented his signature sound.
So he ended up only having the use of these two fingers, his thumb, and these were locked. So these were locked in. So he was able to play chord voicings, and a lot of the chord voicings that are now distinctively within the style come from the hand shape that he could do. He can play just as fast as anybody. In fact, most people with 4 fingers are still trying to catch up to what he could do with 2 fingers.
He had to go back and practice and relearn everything that he already was able to play and relearn it in this new style with the 2 fingers and the stump and his thumb, and prove to the world that he can still be Django Reinhardt. When the music is in you, the music is going to come out no matter what.
Once Django joined with a self-taught Italian street musician, Stephane Grappelli, in his hot club quintet, their genius for swinging string music was totally in syncopated sync.
Stephane Grappelli, Django's partnering with the Hot Club of France, also an innovator on the instrument. There was not a lot of jazz violinists that came before him, so he really pushed it into the jazz world and gave it a voice, a very elegant touch, especially when he's performing ballads, but he could also play at blistering tempos. It seemed like the music was just pouring out of him.
And into such divergent versions of standard tunes that the hit parade would never sound quite the same.
The instrumentation is very unique. You have generally 2 acoustic guitars, one that is taking the role of a drummer, and then you have violin as one of the lead instruments. So already it's kind of a unique style just from the instrumentation.
But beyond the idiosyncratic mix of instruments, the hot club style is filled with a wandering gypsy spirit that's as lonesome and hopeful as the African-American blues or Appalachian bluegrass.
There's a real soul in that style of music that's undeniable. It comes from years and years of a tradition that's been passed down, a family tradition, and music has been what's kept them together, and it's been a real, life-giving force for them to keep them going in times of persecution. That's their community, it's their voice.
This is kind of the European style of bluegrass, where instead of traditional Appalachian music, they're taking traditional European music and also combining it with the jazz and swing tunes from America.
During their week-long crash course in music history, theory, practice, and performance, the campers are constantly striving to become wiser in the ways of Djangology.
so they get to study their repertoire and how to play with other people. So I think that that's the highlight, is getting to play with other people with a similar interest and love of this music. There's jam sessions every night where an instructor is there hosting the jam session, and we also have lunchtime concerts, which is great for not only the students but for the community because they get to enjoy the music.
And there's something about the bohemian character of this mountain town that makes it unusually enthusiastic for the heat and sweetness of gypsy jazz.
The community here in Crested Butte is really supportive of music. You can see that at the concerts. You can feel that they're with you, hanging on every note. It's completely silent until the end of a solo or the end of a song, and then you hear the roar of the audience.
There's something infectious about it. The rhythmic drive, the soul, the swing feel. You go from tapping your foot for 1 minute and then next minute you're near tears.
They start clapping along in the beginning of the song, which is rare for a jazz audience.
But the spontaneous ovations at this hot club dream camp are resounding praise for the kind of classical jazz that can still light up listeners and musicians with the fiery reveries inspired by the great Grappelli and Django the Gypsy.